Hey y'all, I'm James Wright. Welcome to my shop and welcome to the behind the scenes how-to video. I'm working here with Melody today, and today we're going to be doing a very similar video to the one you saw on my second channel. If you watched that one, we're going to be going into a little more of the detail of what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and how I'm actually going to be teaching her. I do have several videos that I go through working with kids to build things, so if you want to see those, I'll try and leave a link to those down below. But we're going to be having a little bit of fun here and talking through building this. Ready? Mm-hmm. This is a great project to do with scrap that you have around the house, and we had a small piece that was about 3.5 inches wide by like 6 inches long or so. We wanted to cut it into a square, so however wide it is, that's how long we want to cut it. And this is a good chance to teach about the difference between a marking knife and a pencil, and get her the chance to actually draw with the marking knife, and seeing how hard do you have to hold it, how do you hold it. It's just a good way to learn that all the way around. So we're going to cut this down to length using the bench hook, and so at first I'm going to start it with my hand, and then I'll have her hand on and I'll have my hand over hers, and then I'll let her do the cutting all by herself, and that progression allows her to learn the body mechanics needed for it, so soon she can make the cut and finish it all by herself. Next up, we need to actually lay out the hash marks, so we need to cut this into threes either direction. So this is a good chance to then work on fractions. You know, how do you take 3.5 and turn it into 3 equal parts? Lay out those lines and draw them across on the board. Another time that she can play with the marking knife and experiment with that. Once we have these lines set all the way across, we're going to chamfer off the edges. And this is a fun thing that I get to show a couple of sides, and then I'll let her try a couple sides where I hold it, and then she'll do the last side all by herself. And so that progression of learning is kind of key, and you'll see this as we go along, that you do a little bit with her, and then you let her go by herself, and it's the best way to learn. Once we get all these once we get all the corners chamfered, then we can do a little bit of the carving. I want to make those lines that we put in a little deeper so that they match the chamfers we put in. So I have a V-gouge that I'll run along the line, tap it out, and there we go. On the next line, I will hold the V-gouge and allow her to tap it, and she gets to see the force needed for it. And then I'll let her go to town on her own line. And she gets to see, you know, how is it going into the wood? Does it need to be deeper? Does it need to be shallower? And let her actually play with what angle does it need to be at, and she can tap it along. Next, we need to drill the holes for the bolts to go in, and for this we're going to lay out lines from corner to corner on each of the squares, and then she gets to mark those out as well. This creates a hash mark in the middle of each of these squares, so we can then have a location for the bit to start. For this, I'm going to grab a brace and bit, and I'm going to choose one that's a little larger than the bolt. The one we had, the bolts we're using were 1/4 inch, and so this was a number 5 auger bit. Put a flag on there to drill them down most of the way, and so I drilled a couple of the holes, showing her what the method is, and then on the next couple, I held the top of the brace and I let her crank it until she got used to that and running down to the right depth, and then I let her go at it. So once she got in the feel of running half of it, then she can actually do the whole thing. And this is a lot of fun to see her take on. And the last couple holes, I just let her do it by herself, and she went to town with it. In the end, the holes weren't quite deep enough, so we went back and quickly bored those out to be the right depth. But it was a lot of fun. And we actually went until the auger screw came out the bottom, and so she could then tell me when to stop because they were poking out. So that is basically the board. It's a really simple project and easy to go with, but for a finish, the nice thing about this is we're just going to use homemade boiled linseed oil. It's a fun finish for the kids to play with because they can just dip their hands in the jar. She's a little tentative at begin with, you know, it's just kind of that, ooh, I can get my hands dirty. Work it into the board, let it soak in. Once it is not absorbing anymore, we wipe off the excess, then apply some paste wax, and that is about it. A good chance to play with them. And then we get to actually sit down with the kids and teach them about Tic Tac Toe, the game that if you know what you're doing, you can never win. But she doesn't quite know what she's doing, and so it was kind of hard for me Well, I tried to let her win, but she wouldn't do it. So this is a fun project all around, and I want to do a few other things. I'm thinking about a variation with a three-dimensional tic-tac-toe board, but we will see how that comes in the future. So I hope you like this. Let me know your thoughts down below. Is there some project you'd like to see me do with the kids? But yeah, a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to doing more with them in the shop. Ah, you beat me. There you have it. Fun time with the kids in the shop, and I hope you enjoyed this. I do like putting up these secondary videos on this channel. I know it's not for everyone, but some people like this and some people like the other one, so I try and put up both, make everyone happy. But then I probably end up making no one happy. So I hope you like it. If you did, please let me know down below. Let me know if you have any questions for Melody. And if you'd like to see her channel, she actually is doing her own video where she does a talk through of what she's doing. So you get to hear her thoughts on what she was doing. Kind of interesting to look at. So head on over there. I'll leave a link to that down below. So that's about it for now. Until next time.
Bye.
Have a wonderful day. Okay, Melody, are you ready to play Tic Tac Toe?
Shoe on your head.